Before you scroll past this one, listen well, because this story is not a small story. This is the story of a man who has been banned, sued, arrested, and buried by his own industry more times than you can count on your fingers, and who still stood up every single time, louder than before. He has faked his own shooting. He has been dragged to court. He has beefed almost every big name in Ghanaian music at least once. And through all of that noise, he built himself into a name that the whole of Africa, and now even Jamaica, has to respect. This is the real, full story of Shatta Wale. Sit down, because this one is long, and every part of it matters. It all started on the 17th of October, 1984, at the police hospital in Accra. A baby boy was born and given the name Charles Ama Mensah Jr. His father, Charles Mensah Sr., was not just an ordinary man. He was a politician, a businessman, and a lawyer, with roots stretching between Accra and the Volta region. His mother, Elsie Evelyn Evmega, gave him the love and the grounding of home. But young Charles didn't grow up soft. He moved between neighborhoods like Kashi, Dansoman, and Korle Gonno, real Accra streets, the kind of streets that build character whether you like it or not. Those streets, and that hustle, are still in his voice today, no matter how many awards sit on his shelf. As a boy, Charles attended 7th grade Princess Academy in Dansoman, and even then, something in him was different. He wasn't the quiet type sitting at the back of the class. He wanted the stage, he wanted the attention, he wanted the lights on him. That energy pushed him into acting in a popular drama series called By the Fireside, performed at the National Theatre of Ghana, a rare shot for a young boy from his part of town. From there he moved on to Winneba Secondary School, and back then, nobody called him Shatta Wale. His schoolmates knew him as Baby Boy. But the road from Baby Boy to international star was not straight, and it was definitely not easy. His first real attempt at a music identity was a name called Doggy, a tribute to a dancehall artist he looked up to named Yogi Doggy. Under that name, he tried to break through, but it didn't stick. So he reinvented himself, and this time he became Bandana. And under the name Bandana, Charles finally tasted real success. In 2004, he dropped Bandana From Ghana,
Bandana from Ghana,
which got him his first Ghana Music Award nomination. For a young man from Dansoman with no connections, this was proof, real proof, that the dream was possible. But just like Doggy before it, the Bandana identity eventually faded. The industry moved on, the hype cooled down, and Bandana, like Doggy, was left behind. Now before we go any further, if you know you're a real fan of Shatta Wale and you never even knew this part of the story, do yourself a favor, subscribe to Magma Decoded and like this video right now, because trust me, it's about to get way more intense from here. This is just the beginning of the man's transformation, and you don't want to miss a single part of it.
Yo, am I ready? Alright. I some different thing. Boom. So they can see me too, like me diamond chain.
Most people, after 2 failed identities, would have packed up and gone to look for a regular 9-to-5 job. Charles Ama Mensah did not. He disappeared from the spotlight for a while to regroup, and when he came back completely reborn, under the name that would change his life forever, Shatta Wale. This rebirth was not calm, and it was not gentle. It came out of pure anger.
Your father, your wife, your kiddies, your
In 2013, at the Ghana Music Awards, Shatta Wale lost the Reggae Dancehall Song of the Year award to a female dancehall artist named Kaakie. He felt cheated, he felt disrespected. And instead of smiling for the cameras, he went to war. He dropped a diss track called Letter to Chatter House, aiming straight at the organizers of the award show.
Me no need your awards. Shatta house, me no need your awards.
And he didn't hold back on Kaakie either, releasing insults that shocked the industry with how vulgar and direct they were. Shatta House was furious. They considered legal action against him for the things he said. But here's the twist that shows you exactly who Shatta Wale is. While the industry was still angry at him, he was in the studio working, and that same period gave birth to Dancehall King, one of the biggest songs Ghana had heard in years.
Big up every your time, every ghetto your time, every ghetto girl will not say me a #1. Dancehall King of the whole Ghana.
By 2014, Shatta Wale was crowned Artist of the Year at the Ghana Music Awards. The very organization he had just finished insulting. And true to form, he wasn't even there to collect the award, because he was locked in a dispute with the organizers over his performance fee. Months later, in a move that surprised everyone, he apologized publicly to Kaakie and to Shatta House.
We love ourselves, and we love Ghana. I really want to apologize to Shatta House, because I never knew they loved us so much.
Even releasing a song called Letter to Kaakie to close that chapter, at least for a while.
To find a place in your heart, girl. Me and you must be tight, pal. Kaakie, you's a fine girl. Me still promise me a beg, girl. I am sorry, baby. Find a place in your heart.
With Dancehall King behind him, Shatta Wale's rise became almost impossible to stop. He built his own label and movement, Shatta Movement Empire, positioning himself not just as an artist, but as the head of an entire army of fans and creatives. Hit after hit followed. My Level, Taking Over, Kaakie, Melissa, Gringo, Ayu, songs that took over every function, every club, every street corner speaker in Ghana. In 2015, he even had the confidence to ask not to be nominated for the Vodafone Ghana Music Awards, despite having monster hits like Dancehall Commando featuring Sarkodie. Party All Night Long featuring Jamaican artist Jovinci. And Wind Your Waist featuring Davido. Because he was still tangled in legal issues with the same award organizers. In 2017, he was named the most influential musician on Ghanaian social media. And in a night that broke records, at the 2019 3 Music Awards, he walked away with 11 awards in one single ceremony, a feat no dancehall artist in the country had ever pulled off before or since. But you don't rise this fast, this loud, without making enemies, and Shatta Wale has beefed almost everybody who ever stood close to his crown. The oldest and deepest of these rivalries is with Samini, one of Ghana's most respected dancehall and reggae veterans, an artist who actually started his career years earlier under the stage name Batman before rebranding to Samini in the mid-2000s. Before Shatta Wale broke into the mainstream in 2013, Samini was already the biggest name in that lane, and as Shatta Wale rose, the tension between the two grew into one of the longest-running feuds in Ghanaian music. Samini fired these records, including King Kong and Vex Madd, straight at him, and Shatta Wale clapped back hard with a track called Sixth Letter to Samini. At one point Shatta Wale even dropped a track called Kill 5 Fun after Samini released Short Pointed, each one questioning whether the other had really seen war, seen death, or earned his stripes in the streets. Their beef would cool down, then reignite years later, once even pulling in Jamaican dancehall star Popcorn, who publicly reacted on social media when the two reignited hostilities again in 2021. Despite everything, the two have shared a stage before, and even recorded a song together called Celebration in December 2019. Prove that even Ghana's longest-running beef can find moments of peace. Then there's the rivalry that nearly shut down a national award show. Shatta Wale's beef with Stonebwoy has roots going all the way back to an underground dancehall competition on Towala Beach in Accra, long before either of them became household names.
Not better than I am, lyrically not better than I am. I murdered him in 2010 at Labadi and I won a motorbike. That motorbike, I sell him after some months.
According to Shatta Wale himself, the tension deepened when Stonebwoy grew frustrated that Shatta couldn't connect him to bigger global opportunities, and things got worse when, according to Shatta Wale, Stonebwoy suggested they team up on a diss track against Samini, an offer Shatta Wale says he turned down. From there, the two became fierce direct competitors for the same crown, the same fans, and the same throne, with tension escalating through songs like Shatta Wale's One Done, which some believed inspired Stonebwoy's own track One God, feeding straight into the fire. In March 2018, Shatta Wale released a track called No Mercy for the Cripple, widely believed by listeners to be a direct and deeply personal shot at Stonebwoy's no-knee condition. All of that tension exploded completely in public on the night of the 2019 Vodafone Ghana Music Awards. When Stonebwoy was announced as the winner of Reggae Dancehall Artist of the Year, Shatta Wale and members of his entourage moved toward the stage. What happened next shocked the entire nation, live on television. In the chaos, Stonebwoy pulled out a gun on stage. Security scrambled. Pepper spray filled the auditorium. Guests were rushed out in a panic that most Ghanaians watching at home had never seen at an award show before. The organizers were forced to suspend two major award categories that night, and both artists were temporarily banned from future editions of the show. It remains one of the most dangerous, most talked about moments in the history of African entertainment, and it locked in Shatta Wale's reputation as an artist who simply cannot be separated from drama, for better or for worse. Stonebwoy and Samini were not the only names on his list. His beef with Sarkodie, one of Ghana's biggest rappers, is said to have started over a money dispute involving a show payment. Sarkodie fired back with a track called Advice.
Yeah, me on this beat it go cause you some damages. Last year I went through some challenges.
Widely regarded as one of the sharpest, most lethal diss songs in Ghanaian music history, calling out Shatta Wale's arrogance and materialism. Shatta Wale answered with My Level, insisting Sarkodie simply wasn't on his level anymore. In 2016, rapper Criss Waddle accused Shatta Wale of stealing his song Bija, and the exchange got heated fast, with Shatta Wale firing back a diss track called Don't Try. He even went international for a moment, clashing with Nigerian superstar Wizkid after a social media disagreement spilled over into a full-blown Ghana vs Nigeria fan war, with Shatta Wale releasing a track titled Disaster aimed straight at Wizkid. Who mostly stayed silent and let him rant. Ghanaian rapper Kwaw Kese also found himself on the receiving end after calling Shatta Wale a hypocrite for preaching unity while dissing his colleagues, a jab that got Shatta Wale furious enough to clap back and call him out publicly. Around that same period, Shatta Wale also found himself locked in a separate, bitter back and forth with rapper Yaa Pono. Yaa Pono released a track called Gbee Nabu straight at him, and Shatta Wale answered with his own diss record called Sci-Fi. Fans on both sides kept the feud alive online for years, with each artist occasionally reviving it in interviews long after the songs themselves had cooled down. If there's one thing that's true about Shatta Wale, it's this: in the Ghanaian music industry, if you've had a big moment, chances are you've had a moment with him too. And yet, somehow, all of this noise could not stop his global rise. In 2019, international superstar Beyoncé handpicked Shatta Wale, alongside Major Lazer, to feature on her song Already, part of the soundtrack for her Lion King visual album, The Gift. For a boy who once performed under the name Doggy in front of small crowds in Accra, sharing a track with one of the biggest artists on the planet was proof of exactly how far he had come. Ghana watched with pride as their most controversial son stepped onto a stage most local artists could only dream about. Then the whole world went quiet. When the COVID-19 pandemic locked down entire countries in 2020, Shatta Wale refused to let silence win. On the 4th of April that year, he made history as the first Ghanaian artist to stage a fully virtual concert, streamed live to fans across the world at a time when everybody was isolated and afraid. It was called the Faith Concert, and for a country desperate for something to hold on to, it became a genuine symbol of hope. But just as fast as he could rise, Shatta Wale could fall, often by his own hand. In October of 2021, Ghana was gripped by shocking reports that Shatta Wale had been shot in an attack in Accra. Fans panicked. News outlets scrambled. The whole country held its breath, fearing the worst for one of its biggest stars. Then the truth came out. Police investigations confirmed the entire shooting was a hoax, allegedly staged after a self-proclaimed prophet claimed Shatta Wale would be shot dead. Shatta Wale went on the run, then eventually turned himself into police. He was arrested along with members of his own team, appeared in court, and was later fined for causing public fear and panic. It was one of the lowest points of his public life, a moment where his hunger for attention and his instinct for the dramatic collided head-on with the law, and with the trust of the very fans who loved him. While all of this was unfolding in Ghana, something interesting was happening across the ocean. Shatta Wale has always credited Jamaica, the birthplace of dancehall itself, as his true musical foundation, and over the years, he's built real relationships with some of Jamaica's biggest names. He linked up with Jamaican singer Joe Vinci on the record Party All Night Long, and later teamed up directly with Jamaican dancehall icon Vybz Kartel on a track called Mansa Musa. But the biggest moment of that connection came on the 31st of December, 2024, when Shatta Wale made his first ever performance in Jamaica at Vybz Kartel's historic Freedom Street concert in Kingston, marking Kartel's return to the stage after 13 years away.
I want to say thank you so much. I've never performed in Jamaica before. Yes, this is my first time.
In front of a crowd of 35,000 people, sharing the stage with Jamaican legends like Popcorn, Skilleben, and Busta Rhymes, Shatta Wale performed his global hits, including his collaboration with Beyoncé. And in a moment that meant everything to him, Vybz Kartel himself crowned Shatta Wale as the King of African Dancehall.
I remember Shatta Wale that I'm a King of African Dancehall. And watch ya.
Right there on Jamaican soil. Shatta Wale has since publicly thanked Vybz Kartel for the mentorship and guidance he says shaped how he builds his songs and runs his business in the industry, calling him one of the great men who influenced his career. That bond runs both ways too. When Hurricane Melissa struck Jamaica and devastated communities there, Shatta Wale donated to support the victims, and Vybz Kartel personally wrote him an emotional letter of thanks, a rare and powerful moment of unity between African and Caribbean dancehall culture. Away from the headlines, the courtrooms, and the beefs, Shatta Wale's personal life has been just as complicated as his public one. He has 3 known children with 3 different women. His eldest, a daughter named Sherissa, was born in 2010 to a woman known as Madam Sandy. His second child, and his only son, Majesty, was born in 2015 with his then partner Michelle Diamond, popularly known as Shatta Mishi. His relationship with Mishi ended in 2019, and like almost everything in his life, that breakup played out in full public view. His third and youngest child, a daughter named Leandra, popularly called Queen Money, was born in November of 2024 with his current partner, Molly. Through it all, he has remained fiercely protective of his role as a father, regularly celebrating his children publicly and defending his family name just as loudly as he defends his music. What makes Shatta Wale such a fascinating figure isn't just the hits or the headlines. It's the contradictions. He can be generous almost to a fault, known for surprising fans with gifts, donating to causes far beyond Ghana's borders, and lifting up young talent inside his Shatta movement family. And in that same breath, he can be reckless, staging hoaxes, trading insults with almost every colleague he's ever worked beside, and dragging himself into controversy that damages his own name. He is loved as a self-made king who clawed his way up from nothing with no godfather and no shortcuts, and he is hated by just as many people as a man who seems addicted to chaos and attention. Both of those things are true about him at the exact same time, and that tension, right there, is exactly what has kept Ghana's eyes glued to him for over 2 decades. Even now, heading into his 40s, Shatta Wale refuses to slow down. In 2025, he released his EP Voice of the Crown, a fully self-produced project carrying tracks like God Is Here, Street Crown, Stay Focused, Stacks Pon Stacks, and King in a Life, proving he still has the drive to build music entirely on his own terms. He even submitted his music for consideration at the Grammy Awards, and though the nomination didn't come through, he wore the attempt as a badge of pride, not just for himself, but for Ghana and for African dancehall as a whole. As 2026 opened, he was already back at it, dropping new music and reminding everybody that the man once known as Doggy, then Bandana, and finally Shatta Wale, is still standing, still recording, and still impossible to ignore. From a boy chasing a stage name in Dansoman, to a man crowned King of African Dancehall on Jamaican soil, sharing a song with Beyoncé, surviving arrests, surviving bans, and outlasting nearly every rival who has ever tried to take his crown, Shatta Wale's story is not a clean, simple rags to riches tale. It is messier than that. It is louder than that. It is, in many ways, the story of the streets themselves, talented, proud, chaotic, resilient, and never, ever willing to be counted out. Whether you rate him or you can't stand him, one thing nobody can take from him. Shatta Wale built himself from absolutely nothing into a name the whole of Africa knows, and now Jamaica knows it too, and he did every single bit of it on his own terms. And just when people thought he had nothing left to prove, Shatta Wale delivered one of the biggest nights of his entire career. On the 18th of October, 2025, to mark his 40th birthday, he staged Shatta Fest at Black Star Square in Accra, and it became one of the largest music gatherings in Ghana's history, with reports putting the crowd anywhere from 100,000 to well over 200,000 people packed into the square and the surrounding streets. Stars like Sarkodie, Samini, Wendy Shea, Medical, and Kelvin Boy all showed up to share the stage with him. And in one of the most emotional moments of the night, Shatta Wale called Samini onto that same stage and presented him with a plaque, publicly honoring him as the pioneer and godfather of Ghanaian dancehall, telling the crowd that without Samini, there would be no Shatta Wale. After everything the two of them had been through, that hug on stage said more than any diss record ever could. Following that night, Shatta Wale announced that Shatta Fest would now become an annual event, and true to his word, he is already taking it international. Shatta Fest is set to touch down in London on the 1st of August, at Copthall Playing Fields, in partnership with the popular diaspora event Ghana Party in the Park, promising a full day of music, culture, and pure Shatta movement energy for fans across the UK and Europe.